With each passing day, the war between Russia and Ukraine shows no signs of letting up, becoming increasingly brutal and bloodier. Nearly 3 years into the conflict, the toll on Ukrainian forces is staggering. Losses now regularly surpassing 50,000 soldiers each month. Yet, the grim reality is far from over. Ukraine's recruitment efforts, strained under escalating pressure, can barely keep pace, and desertions are at an all-time high. The front line is crumbling under the weight of mounting casualties, lack of training, and disillusionment among the ranks. In recent months, monthly losses of the Ukrainian armed forces have continued to climb. January 2025 alone saw nearly 52,000 soldiers fall, a tragic reminder of the cost of a war with no end in sight. Over the past 6 months, these casualties have been consistent, with each new report revealing a relentless slaughter of Ukrainian troops. Despite ongoing mobilization efforts, the flow of new recruits has barely exceeded 30,000 per month, many of whom are hastily trained and thrown into combat, ill-prepared for the brutal realities of war. This lack of preparation only amplifies the devastation on the battlefield, with Ukrainian forces continually losing ground. Official reports indicate that up to 100,000 Ukrainian soldiers have gone absent without leave, AWOL, or fled the front lines, a reflection of the exhaustion and fear gripping the ranks. In a desperate move to bolster numbers, Ukraine's government recently enacted legislation to lower the mandatory enlistment age from 25 to 18, an attempt to shore up manpower, at least temporarily. But as President Zelensky faces mounting pressure from his Western backers, the situation grows bleaker by the day. In the eyes of Russian President Vladimir Putin, the war could end in a matter of months. If the money and ammunition stop, Ukraine won't last a month, Putin said, adding that if Western nations truly desired peace, they could simply pull their support and bring the conflict to a swift conclusion.
Well, I think that his Western sponsors, they cannot exist. They will not last a month if the money and the ammunition stop. Everything will be over in a month and a half or two. In this sense, Ukraine's sovereignty is almost nil. If there is a desire on the part of their Western sponsors to achieve peace, well, the way is very simple. I once sent a corresponding signal about this. If there is a desire, everything is welcome.
Yet, despite the continued loss of life and the unraveling of Ukraine's defenses, peace seems as distant as ever this week. The issue of desertion made headlines in Ukraine as authorities launched an investigation into the mysterious disappearance of 56 soldiers from the 155th Mechanized Brigade who had been undergoing training in France. The unit's commander, Dmytro Ryomshin, was arrested, facing up to 10 years in prison for dereliction of duty. But the mass defection is only the latest symptom of a growing crisis within Ukraine's military. Desperate for fresh troops, Ukraine has begun integrating inexperienced recruits into existing battalions, a move that has yielded mixed results. The performance of newly formed brigades has been poor, with Ukrainian forces struggling to maintain control of key territories. As a result, Russia's military advances have intensified, particularly in the eastern regions where Russian artillery and drone strikes are wreaking havoc. On the battlefield, Russian artillery units have been relentless. The Gyatsin B towed howitzers of the Zapad group of forces have consistently targeted Ukrainian positions, destroying ammunition depots, armored vehicles, and enemy troops. Russian airborne artillerymen have been especially effective, thwarting Ukrainian attempts to rotate personnel on the front lines, while Mi-35 attack helicopters provide critical air support to ground forces. In the ongoing battle for the Kursk region, Russian forces have repelled multiple Ukrainian attempts to breach Russian territory. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, in the past 24 hours alone, Ukrainian losses in Kursk included more than 240 troops, as well as a range of military hardware, including infantry fighting vehicles, artillery, and UAV systems. Since the beginning of the operation, Ukrainian casualties have surpassed 56,000, with Russian forces claiming to have neutralized hundreds of Ukrainian tanks, armored vehicles, and artillery pieces. With each report, the scale of devastation becomes clearer, not only in terms of military hardware, but also the staggering human cost. As both sides dig in for the long haul, the war continues to unfold with no resolution in sight, leaving untold devastation in its wake. The question now remains: how much longer can Ukraine hold on, and what will be left when the dust finally settles?